What's going on, guys? I'm Landon from Shoewear, and today we are taking a closer look at Joel Embiid's first signature basketball shoe with Under Armour, the Embiid 1 Draft Night. So before we dive into the shoe itself, let's go ahead and hit on the box and the price first. So for the box, these do come in a black box featuring the traction pattern, kind of covering it in various places, and you also get a glimpse of Embiid's new player logo, but pretty standard other than that, except for one cool detail that I did find on this box on the bottom and on the bottom of the shoes in between the lines, but I'll save that for a little bit later when we touch on traction. But for pricing, Embiid's first shoe is going for $120, which is the average to below average price for most basketball shoes, and obviously the market has changed over the last decade, but you know, these are $10 higher than Steph Curry's first signature shoe with Under Armour as well at $110. But you know, it has taken Embiid a little bit longer to get a shoe into his career. But this is a quick opportunity to go ahead and plug our Curry 8 review that will be coming out next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But back to these shoes right here, that'll pretty much do it for the box and the price. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the appearance and the specific colorway for these shoes. Alright, so first we'll go over the appearance. So the Embiid 1 actually released at the end of this last year in 2020, so we're pretty late to the party, but you know, I'm a big fan of Joel, and I was really waiting to finally get the chance to check these out, and the time has come. But like I was saying, the Embiid 1 line released late September, with this colorway released a little bit more recent at the end of December. And you know, these have been labeled the Joel Embiid 1 Draft Night. And there's actually a pretty cool story behind why that is, so allow me to share that with you real quick. So before the 2014 NBA draft, Embiid had undergone a major surgery just 6 days prior. So instead of being in Brooklyn and waiting to hear his name called that draft night, he was tuned in virtually from California. And after being selected number 3 overall to the Philadelphia 76ers, there was a slight delay in the broadcast connection, and it didn't cut to Embiid until after he had already celebrated. And the camera kind of caught him looking somewhat, I want to say, like emotionless or like disappointed. So most people know about the crying Embiid meme from losing to the Raptors in 2019, which ultimately got them eliminated from the playoffs. But actually, Embiid was a meme the second his name was called on that draft night. But, you know, that's just kind of what social media does now. But so Embiid found it pretty funny and kind of explained really quickly the clear misrepresentation of how he felt about being drafted by the 76ers. But, you know, the internet was just too quick with this one, and they started clowning him with the please stand by screen, because Embiid seemed to be like standing there emotionless, processing how he felt about on live TV about getting drafted by the 76ers. It just wasn't a good look. But that's what makes this colorway so unique. The draft night Embiid 1 is inspired by that please stand by loading screen. But more subtle details from that night made it onto these as well. You know, a quick look at the heel tab, and you can see the number 3 with the circle around it. And does Joel Embiid wear number 3? No, he does not. So this actually is meant to represent the ping pong ball with the number 3 on it, which kind of represents his number in the draft pick that night. And you know, I'm not saying that he was slept on, because number 3 in the draft is still extremely high, but he did end up being far and wide the best player in that draft, without a doubt, as he's the front runner for MVP, or one of them, this year, putting up crazy stats. But I forget that we didn't come here to talk about all that. So back to the shoe itself. Looking at the overall design, I think Under Armour did a pretty good job on these. You know, putting it straight up, big guys in the NBA don't get a shot at a signature shoe too often. It's more common to see guards like Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Kyrie getting the recognition. So it just kind of shows to show you how high up up on the totem pole Embiid is with Under Armour. But I kind of referenced already that this color scheme does resemble that Please Stand By loading screen. But as for the rest of the shoe itself, there's a bunch of waves and streaks going on that kind of cover the back half of the shoe. And you also see Joel Embiid's logo show up on the tongue with Under Armour and stuff like that. So you can kind of see how it mixes his initials J and E together on there. And I think it's pretty clean. But that actually kind of sums up the appearance of these. So let's go ahead and check out how these shoes hold up for performance. All right, so for the last half of this review, we will look at the materials, the comfort, and the traction for the Embiid 1. So the upper is going to be largely made up of mesh, which has pretty much become the norm now. But it is going to make these very breathable, which is honestly pretty important unless you just hate your feet and you want them to suffer when you play ball. And also, if you look at this piece, it sort of runs up like a little wing while running up the side of the shoe up to the lacing on the outside of the shoe. It happens to be blue and yellow on one side, and then more of like a pink and yellow on the other, and that serves to kind of keep your foot in place so you're not moving side to side or even just sliding all the way out of the shoe. And it's no surprise that Under Armour would put that in there, with Embiid being the mountain that he is. And I'll go ahead and hit on traction in just a second, but you can see that the traction setup kind of runs up the toe a little bit higher than some basketball shoes, which is good if you're someone who toe drags a lot and needs that traction, plus you won't be harming the upper of your shoe. And for cushioning, these do feature a full-length Micro G midsole paired with the hover heel, which is really just a hover puck kind of setup in the back. And these don't have the most explosive feel, but the cushion is there, and although Micro G has been kind of known to be somewhat inconsistent, these do have a solid feel to them, and they have been getting pretty solid reviews as far as cushion goes across the board. And actually, this is the same Micro G and hover combo that was in the Curry 7, which was his previous signature shoe with Under Armour before he kind of branched off and went his own route and has his own line with them, but that'll be more for next week's review. But there's also some TPU overlays which help support, and also just overall good for setup and stability and durability, all of that. And it's good for both indoors and outdoors, which you would kind of expect since it is designed to work with Embiid's skill set and size. And the traction pattern is radial and looks to hold up pretty solid. That's what I noticed, and especially for jab steps and step backs, something Embiid loves to do, along with, I'd argue, most basketball players. And it does draw some similarities to the Kobe 9 too, just like the Paul George 5 did that we covered last week, so feel free to go and check that out as well. And there are some instances for me with minor slips near the back of the shoe, but Under Armour, for Embiid's first shoe, I think these held up very solid. And it's worth it to note that Embiid is 7 feet tall and 280-pound man, so he doesn't make the sharpest cuts, but even for guards, which I would have to consider myself a guard since I don't meet any of the requirements for a big, aside from these being a little bit heavy, these were really nice to play in. Now for sizing, to wrap it up, these do fit true to size. I have plenty of room to play in these, almost a little bit too much room in the toe area. I had like a thumb's length, and they aren't narrow either, so it's not like they're squeezing your foot. So 10.5 is my normal size. That's where I landed on these, so that would be my recommendation. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our unboxing and performance review on the Under Armour Embiid 1 Draft Night. Thank you guys for taking some time out to watch, and be sure to click the link in our bio, and from there you can find our shoes that are available for sale. You can find that are on our website. You can also head over to our social media to stay informed on upcoming sneaker releases. And last, just feel free to leave a comment below to let us know if you liked it or not, and just let us know any shoes you may want us to check out next. But until next review, I'm Landon from Shoewear. Peace.